Hi, this is Chad Bordeaux, and welcome to another video edition of the Bean Counter Ramblings blog. Today I wanted to tell you a story from a book that I'm reading called Every Business is a Growth Business by Ram Charan. The story takes place in 1969 when Ram was an instructor for a business school in Nicaragua that was set up by at the request of JFK, where Harvard MBAs actually go and spend the semester and study. What Ram did was one day he took his class about 8 miles out of town to a small market in a town called Masaya. And this is just your typical village or village market type thing. There are about 100 vendors set up selling anything from pineapples, clothing, jewelry, all sorts of things. So they walk up to a woman who's selling clothing, and they ask her a question as to where did you get where do you get your merchandise, where do you get the money for it? And she says she gets the money from the sharks. And of course they're the sharks, and what they meant was the loan sharks. And they're like, well, how much do they charge you? And she's 2.5% interest a month. One of the students says, well, that's about 30% interest a year. And she goes, well, actually it's 34.5% interest a year. And they, well, how do you make money on anything with costs that high? And she does her hands like this, and what she means is velocity. She means that she has to turn her inventory many times in order to make a profit. And the higher your velocity, the more revenues you get per volume of assets. What this woman knew was that her return on investment was tied to how often she turned her inventory. Return on investment was equal to her margin multiplied by her velocity, how many times she turned her inventory. With thin margins, very thin margins, she had to return her inventory very quickly. This is something that Walmart learned very on, is that if you operated with very low margins and you could still make a profit in retail if you could turn your inventory very fast. And they set up systems to where they were able to turn their inventory very fast, such as when the cashier rings something up, it automatically places the computer systems automatically know to place an order for another item. So Walmart set systems in place. This woman obviously didn't have those systems, but she knew she had to turn her inventory very fast. But the students at the market learned something that day that most businessmen do not understand or learn in their entire lifetimes, and that's the concept of velocity. Look at your inventory turnover, make sure that it is what it should be, compare it to your industry peers, and figure out what you need to do to get your inventory in line, so your costs are not too high, and your turnover rates where they need to be, so that your margins and your profits are where they should be. Until next time, this is Chad Bordeaux with the Bean Counter Ramblings blog.